Hi there. Since you've clicked on this video, I assume that you have some sort of goal or a dream that you just can't start working on. And whatever you do, like you might have already spent some money on courses or bought some equipment, but when it gets to just doing it, you just can't. And I've been in this situation for many years with a lot of stuff. And I tried a lot of ways to fix this. I tried productivity frameworks, time management techniques, journals, whatever. Like I tried a lot of stuff and it just didn't work. But what I realized does work is emotional regulation. And hear me out. I know it's not obvious, but when you have troubles doing something, it's because you have some sort of block in your mind. And usually behind every block, there is an emotion that is not resolved, that you are trying to avoid subconsciously. And usually you avoid this with some sort of procrastination or bad habit or addiction. Because of these emotions, you just can't start doing risky things. And by risky, I actually mean important. Because if something is not important to you, it just cannot get an emotional reaction out of you. You just don't care. The mere process of going for this goal will evoke an emotional reaction in the background of your brain. And these things are usually called self-sabotage. And this makes you just fall into the loop because you have this thing that you really want, your goal, your dream, and you want to work on it, but you don't. And it makes you depressed, which makes it harder to work on this goal. Again, so it's a dead loop, and the only way to really get out of this loop is to either really push very hard and have crazy amount of discipline, which a lot of people just don't have, and it's a whole different thing that you need to develop. The second route is that you can work through this emotion. I use two ways approach to work through emotions. You have to work with your inner world and with your outer world. By working on your inner world, I mean doing deep work, like shadow work. Like you need to identify this emotion and just in your mind really get over it. And it's very hard and it takes a long time. So while you're doing this long, hard work, you can do easier work, which is working with your outer world, where you change your behavior and your environment in order to help you. Well, there will be two parts with this video, one for deep work and one for environmental/behavioral work. And there will be a bunch of life hacks for each part, so I created a chart for you to easily navigate them. The link will be below for my Pinterest, where you can find it and pin it to your board if you need to. I'm going to start with deep work. First, you need to understand that self-sabotage is just not real. It's not a real thing. Whatever you're doing to benefit yourself. But we are complex creatures, and inside of you there's different parts of you. And oftentimes when you have some coping mechanisms that are not working for you, you actually are using them because they were working in the past for you. So there is a wounded or maybe very young part of yourself that finds these mechanisms really helpful and finds the thing that your conscious part wants to do really scary. I'm not going to speak for 100% of cases, but usually your younger self is kind of afraid of big emotions because in the past those emotions meant something very dangerous. For example, maybe now if you talk to your mom and you tell her something from your life, like that you got a promotion, and she reacts in, not in a way that you expected or would want her to react. Like she's not excited for you and she's not, telling you compliments and praising you. Maybe now it doesn't mean anything. And whatever she says, it wouldn't change your life, but it will evoke strong emotion in you. Because in the past, when you were a child and you showed her a picture you drew, and she said something dismissive to you, maybe she was a shitty mom, people have shitty moms, it meant that she kind of abandons you in some way, that you annoy her. And first of all, to your young brain, and second of all, to your primal brain, it means a lot. Because as human beings, we are very dependent on our community, and especially we are very dependent on our parents when we are very little. Because if you don't have your parents as a human child, you will just die. There are a lot of little horses, they can walk a second after their birth, but little humans, they are very dependent on their parents for a lot of time. So this fear is not just because she was mean to you. It's because without her you will die. It's like a survival fear. It's very, very strong. Even though now you are safe completely, you might still be afraid to talk to your mother about something like this, because inside of you there's still a small version of you that is afraid it will die if she says something mean. And it might sound ridiculous, but it really how it works. So I want you to be really compassionate with yourself and really like see this wounded and this young part of you. It's perfect if you go to therapy and you can really dig deep into your past and really understand where it all stems from. But even if you don't know, even if you didn't really understand still why you have this big reaction to something that shouldn't, evoke this reaction from you right now logically, still be compassionate, because there's 100% something that you might just not remember, but it still happened and you still have to deal with this. So just be kind to yourself and realize that whatever you do, it always has a reason, and you are not completely crazy for feeling this way. But you need to get it out and shed a light to it and just see it to overcome it, because you cannot fight something that you just don't see and don't understand what it is. When you realize that there is this young part of you, you need to become its parent. It's very basic. It's kind of like more complicated than that, but it's how I'm gonna explain it. There is a young part of you that is kind of your subconscious, and there is the adult part of you that is your conscious. And consciously, you may want to do something like making new friends. It's very logical. You want to make new friends, to expand your social network, to have a support group, and to do this, you need to come out and talk to people. And it's actually really easy. You need to go out and talk to people. But because you have this trauma of being rejected, maybe by your parents, like let's pretend we're expanding on the last example, your childlike self is gonna go like, are you crazy? Are you really gonna go and talk to those people? What if they say something mean and you will feel the way you felt when you were 4 and you showed your picture to your mom? Are you insane? Let's keep it safe and just sit there in our room alone and scroll on TikTok for 5 hours. It's a way more logical thing to do. Because, your young self, it really is all about safety and all about instant gratification. But your adult self, it can see way further. And it's not like any of these parts is more important than the other, because without your fear and without your survival instincts, you will die. But without your curiosity and your drive forward, you would just sit on your ass for the whole day and for your whole life in the end. So both things are very important. I actually heard it a lot and I never understood what it meant. So for myself, I broke it down into a couple steps. And first step is to identify what exact emotion you're feeling. Usually it's fear, so you need to know what are you afraid of. The way I do it is by using my own coping mechanism. So I'm going to use an example again. I myself have this problem with scrolling. And it started even before smartphones. Before smartphones, I just read a lot of books and, avoided reality at all costs. When I catch myself doing it, I just stop for a second. Because, if I decide that, no, I'm going to stop, I'm going to go do the dishes and I'm going to do this and I'm going to work and I'm going to write this post or whatever, I'm never gonna get up. So I'm just thinking, I'm gonna stop for 30 seconds. And I don't even need to close the app and turn my phone down or anything. I just stop the video, I just cover it, I just put it aside where I cannot see it. And I just sit for 30 seconds approximately. And I just try to not think of anything. And I'm not a skilled monk, I'm not great at meditation, so I will start thinking immediately and I just try to really let those thoughts pass by. Usually when you're scrolling, it's because you have some sort of emotion behind that, as I said before. And when you have nothing to do, your brain starts doing what it does best, and it's problem solving. And usually when I let those thoughts pass by, something related to how I feel deeper inside will pop up in those 30 seconds. In my example, I was sitting here and I was thinking, and just a thought that popped out was, how I'm gonna pay my rent? And I realized that I was kind of thinking about it on the background the whole time I was scrolling. I just didn't let it get to the surface. But I was thinking about it. The moment I thought about it, I was like, wait, your salary is double your rent and you don't have any purchases planned. And even if you lose some of your income, you still have your family to fall back on, even if you won't be able to pay your rent. So what? It's not the end of the world. You can go crash at your mom's. It's normal at our age. It's normal at any age to just fall back and let your community take care of you when you are struggling. It's okay. Just by realizing what was it behind my scrolling, just giving it a name and thinking about it for a couple minutes, I realized how silly it was. And I came up with a bunch of solutions in those couple of minutes. When I thought a little deeper, I realized that I feel this way because I usually tend to have some sort of a financial safety net, and I lost it because I had a chain of unfortunate events happening at that period of my life. But I'm in the process of fixing it, so there really is no real reason to sweat about it right now. It's just useless rumination. This feeling was like a dark blob somewhere inside of me that was threatening and scary and that I wanted to avoid by scrolling and doing stuff and like avoiding my work, which is so stupid when you are afraid that you're gonna be broke to avoid your work because it's the thing that's gonna make the money. But that's just how it went until I shed a light on it and I gave it a name. And I faced it and I realized that it's not some shapeless void. It's actually a very fixable thing and I can work through it. And I've been in these situations before and I've worked through it. And the other thing that I recommend doing here is visualization. If it's something maybe more deep than my rent example, then you might visualize yourself like hugging yourself and telling yourself it's gonna be okay. Like if it's something really, hard, like you lost a job or you maybe going through a breakup or someone close to you passed away, you can just imagine yourself sitting next to your younger self and just hugging yourself and thinking that it's going to be okay. Or you can physically hug yourself. It's really different for different situations, but most of the times we don't struggle that much. So I hope my example will help. And that's basically how you become, this parental figure to yourself, how you figure out your own problems that to some part of you seem so scary, but there actually are not. And you will likely need to repeat this a bunch of times because we are all adults in this economy. We have a lot of problems and they are all eating it out mentally, and each of them needs at least some attention, some conscious, real attention. So over time, you will work through more and more and more of them, and it will happen less regularly when you disassociate and you start drinking or scrolling or whatever you do to cope with this type of thing. So yeah, this is why this deep work process is long, because even on one problem, you might have to, sit with yourself and think about it like that a couple times. And there are multiple problems also. So yeah, it's gonna take time. Okay, so now since you started working on your inner world and it's gonna take a lot of time, in the meantime, we're gonna work on your behavior and your environment to help you boost the process. First of all, you need to limit your access to whatever you use to cope. If your problem is scrolling like myself, you need to install app blockers or delete the social media apps. I'm not going to get into detail about the app blockers. Do your own research and pick something. If your problem is binge eating, you need to get rid of all of the junk food. If your problem is drinking, you need to get rid of all of the alcohol. I think you got the idea. If it's hard for you to, throw it all away for some reason, you can at least put it somewhere where it will be harder to reach. Or you can give it to someone so that if you want to consume that, you will have to ask this person. The second thing is that you need to create rules. You might be on a high right now. You might be now binge watching productivity videos and you might think that you can start being your most perfect productive self right now, but it's just not going to happen for the most of us. And if you aim too high, you will likely fail and it will result in distrust again. So all of your self-trust work will be kind of screwed. Maybe not for the end of times, but it's still not a good thing. Instead of aiming this high, you need to create non-negotiable rules that you know you will be able to follow. For example, no more than 7 drinks a week. Achievable goal. You still can drink if you want to, but you will know that every time you drink, you kind of take from these 7 drinks, and you cannot do more. So you're probably not gonna want to do it too fast. Like, you're not gonna want to drink 7 beers by Tuesday. Or it may be like, okay, I can eat sweets, but I'm not gonna eat chips and drink soda. Or it can be like, I can scroll, but I will not do it in the morning, and I will not do it in the evening only, like on my business hours when I get paid. Disclaimer, don't do that. We're not gonna screw our bosses, right? So you need to pick something that is gonna be relatively easy to you, and then you need to gather data. First of all, if at any point you really feel like giving up, before doing something you shouldn't do, try to sit down and journal your way out of there. Like, just drop all of your thoughts, all of your feelings about it on paper. Don't try to structure them or get them perfect. It's just to get it out of your system. After 2 weeks of these new rules, you need to sit down and reflect on them. Go through these journals, go through your daily journal, and really consider, what do I do next? Maybe you need to loosen the rule because it's way too hard for you, or maybe you're going through a hard time in other areas of your life and you don't want to put too much on your plate. Or maybe you feel like it's too easy and you can go forward. Or maybe you are doing this for a couple sets of 2 weeks already, and after so many iterations you already got used to it and you are ready to a bigger challenge. You need to review all of this and make a decision about what you're gonna do for the next 2 weeks. So these rules are not made in stone. They will change over time, which also will make it psychologically easier for you to obey them. Third thing is that you need to tell your inner circle about your plans, especially people you live with, because it's environmental change. You're gonna need to adapt your living space to your new reality. At the very least, you need to tell your friends to not invite you to do something that you're not supposed to do, like drinking. Ask them to not invite you to bars. Because again, we need to limit your access to alcohol. You can also ask them to call you out if they see you doing something you're not supposed to do. The main thing is that they should know, because it will create another layer of accountability for you. Not only owing this to yourself and to your younger self and wounded self or whatever, you're also owning this to other people because you already told them that you're gonna do that. Fourth thing is that you need to start journaling and meditating. Again, there are a lot of frameworks, a lot of techniques, so do your own research and then pick something that works for you. One thing that I'm going to say is that I recommend having multiple journals. One for mind dumping, like what we did in the second stage. You can even use like a messenger for that. Just create a group just with yourself, and you can use text or you can use voice messages and just rant. Another journal is going to be for your daily entries, and I really recommend doing a daily journal to capture your memories about your life. I think it's really beautiful, and I personally use the app Stoic. It's really great. It's not an ad, obviously, but it's just something that I use, and even though I had a hard time journaling regularly throughout my whole life, this app really helps me. Very simple, and I use the free version and I'm super content with it, so you don't have to pay for anything. And another journal is going to be for your deeper thought processing. This is when you have some problem and you are not highly emotional about it. You are just sitting and maybe you're going through your emotional journal, the first journal, and analyze everything, and you talk to yourself very openly because it's a journal. It's very easy to be really open because you can just delete all of it after you finish and no one's gonna see it. Yeah, and I also kind of recommend typing instead of writing manually because it's way faster and you can type as fast as you think, especially if you train a little. It's just a pro tip. And the last tip is that you need to build a community. This one is kind of personal because I'm at the stage of my life where I spent a lot of time by myself, and while I feel content about it, I realize that a lot of emotional stuff that comes up for me, like a lot of depressive thoughts or anything, it actually just because I don't have enough face-to-face connection with other people. I think that you 100% need a one IRL community to interact with. It's great if it's a community that you're not really choosing. like if it's your family or maybe your school friends. So this community should be diverse. Usually in your family you have people of different ages and different views, and it's kind of nice to see people of different views in real life instead of the internet, because internet really likes to pit people against each other. You know, the gender wars, the generation wars, they're all happening for some reasons, and we kind of get demonized to each other. But when you interact with people in real world, it usually turns out that not all men are trash and not all women are whores. So if you know that you have this problem, really try to go out, touch some grass, and talk to some real people. Online communities are, on the other hand, great because you can find people that are very, very much like you, and you can really connect with them. Because if you are a fan of some obscure movie that no one ever saw, chances are there are people on the internet as obsessed with this movie, and you can talk to them, and it will make you feel very connected on an intellectual level. And it's actually something that I'm working on myself. So if you want to chat or something, if you want to rant, you can actually text me. Obviously, if the title of this video made you click and then you watched it all the way through, we probably have something in common. So you can find my contacts below and in my bio. So if you want to chat, just hit me up. So that's it for today. I think I'm gonna make more content about this later, maybe deeper into some of the topics, but this is kind of a big picture of what it looks like to me to emotionally regulate your way out of just wasting your life. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If someone did it, I'm super happy. And if you can drop a comment, the weirdest emoji you can find, I will be like over the moon. So thank you so much.